Hi everyone, Steve Healey, partner with RSM, and welcome to our latest instalment of our coffee conversation series. Today I'm joined by Andrew Flannery. Andrew is the Chief Financial Officer of the University of Queensland, one of our Australia's leading universities. Andrew, welcome. Really good to have you here, and thanks again for joining us. As I explained, this is all about having a chat over a coffee, a little bit different to how we might be used to doing it in a kind of a personal sense, but maybe to kick off, what are you having this morning?
Well, I'm glad you asked actually, because I'm having a coffee cup which has water in it, largely because I don't drink coffee. So I thought it wouldn't be much of a coffee conversation without at least a cup. So I can assure you there is water, or maybe it's vodka, but I'm pretty sure it's water.
Excellent.
Yeah, but it's good.
But vodka a little later in the day, perhaps. But
a little bit, maybe after 11.
Not quite yet, no. And I'm a sucker for a good latte, so I've got a latte in hand, of course. So, mate, thanks again for joining us. Perhaps before we kick off, if you could just share with us a little bit about yourself, tell us about who Andrew Flannery is.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think for those that have worked with me most of my career, that they're probably surprised to know my name's Andrew. So for most of my professional career, I've been Flanno, largely because Andrew is the most popular boys' name of the 70s and the 80s. So Flanno was a professional necessity. But started my career after going to university in Toowoomba with Ernst & Young in Brisbane. Did the audit trail there, which was great. Spent 6 years in the UK after that. Went over there to backpack and ended up working for an investment bank called Credit Suisse for about 6 years. Took a year off, saw the world, came back, started a career with Flight Centre here in Brisbane, which was fantastic. Spent 15 years there, and half of those years was spent as the Chief Financial Officer. The last couple of years there I spent heading up an operational unit, so I was the Australian head of the corporate travel business. So great opportunity for an accountant to run an operational business and see the other side of the world. And then after that, spent a couple of years helping the Turner family set up their eco-adventure, eco-tourism called Spices Rim Trail, which was great as well. So did that for a couple of years, and then decided it was time to return to the finance fold, and was lucky enough to get the gig here at UQ as the CFO. So it's been fantastic. So I've been here for just under 12 months.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for that. And that's a really good segue into UQ. Can you tell us a little bit about UQ and about your role at UQ?
Yeah, so UQ, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of exposure to UQ. As I said, went to uni in Toowoomba and was the first in my family to go to uni, so didn't have a huge understanding of UQ itself. But it's a very proud Queensland institution. Its rankings have just come out today, actually, and it's ranked number 46 in the world as far as universities go. So it's a top 50 world-class university, which is something Queensland and Australia should be very proud of. It's obviously famous for its teaching, but equally it's famous for its research. So UQ was the first to develop the cervical cancer vaccine through Professor Ian Fraser. And in that same spirit, UQ currently is working on the COVID-19 vaccine and is at the forefront of that, and has a good chance to be one of the front runners in actually developing that. So one thing I didn't appreciate about a university like this was its research capacity. Again, amazing to think that Brisbane has such a world-class research facility on its doorstep.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story. It really is. Tell us a little bit, maybe just off the back of that, and brilliant that we are through the University of Queensland at the forefront of developing that vaccine that's so desperately needed around the world. In the last few months, obviously, there's been a fair few challenges. That's probably an understatement of the year. Can you share with us some of the challenges that you've had to face in your role at the UQ, and both from a business and a personal sense as well, perhaps?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it? I think most of us obviously went through the global financial crisis back in 2008, 2009, and I think for most of us, we thought that would be the defining kind of career point as far as the challenges being presented. And certainly I was at Flight Centre at the time, and there was a lot of concerned about what that meant for the industry and how we would recover from that. And here we are 10 years later facing something like the pandemic, which has just thrown challenges at all of us that none of us probably would have ever expected. So I think, again, subject to the next 10 years, this could be a real career-defining moment for all of us. But I think the UQ and the university sector was not unique. It wasn't protected from the same issues that most other businesses encountered, which was, how much revenue we got coming in the door. What does that mean for our cost base? What do we need to do to adjust? And more importantly, what's that mean for our cash flow? So I think, we all remember at times like this, cash is king, and so focus went straight back to the cash flow. So, very fortunate that those before me have left a legacy of a strong cash position and actually some contingency planning in place for something like this, which there was almost a bit of a playbook to go to, which is a unique position to be in, and I'm very grateful for that. So, from a financial perspective, just securing our understanding of what we thought the next, 3 to 6 to 9 months might look like and how we're going to get through that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if you wouldn't mind, I mean, often when we're, experiencing serious challenges, whether it be in business or in our personal lives, we also find opportunities that come from left field as well. Have you found any of those? And if you have, would you mind sharing some of those with us?
Yeah, look, I think the I think the first thing I was reminded of is, in a time of crisis, and that word gets used probably too generally, but I think we were in a genuine crisis because we weren't sure what was going to happen. People just rallied to the cause, and that wasn't just here at UQ, but across the society. So I think that's always reassuring to see your fellow humans doing the important stuff and doing it quickly and doing it so professionally and well. So part of that was moving to a remote working environment. And I think the big challenge for me, and I've got a team of about 250 finance professionals here at UQ, how do you stay connected and making a deliberate effort to try to find ways to make people feel like they were being supported and they were still part of something, and we still had important work to do. So I think one of the really pleasing experiences for me has been the use of platforms like Zoom, MS Teams, and some of the other kind of media channels to create a connectivity with our workforce that, to be honest, is probably better than what it was beforehand. So for me, I've got a geographically dispersed team, people on one side of Brisbane, people out in Gatton, and getting people together physically used to be a bit of a challenge. So that sense of community was always harder to create. But now we speak probably every 2 weeks as opposed to every 6 months physically, and the overriding feedback I'm getting from people is they feel part of something more now than what they did previously. So I think that's been an unexpected dividend, which hopefully we can retain. And then I think, obviously, people's ability to work from home. I think we've been surprised at not only how seamless that transition's been, but also how productive people have been. And there's a real sense that, is this something to continue? And, people are really starting to question their needs for commuting in every day and various other things. So I think there's some interesting reflections we need to make as an institution to figure out what's the best way to continue to work the way we are working and what's the best for our people as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And wonderful insights, Flano. I think today's the first time I've called you Andrew as well, for that matter. I thought it was important,
I appreciate your professionalism.
Mate, really appreciate your time once again. And for everyone watching, thanks again for joining us. And if you haven't heard anything from Flano today that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, I think there's some great insights in there. You know where we are. You don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks again, mate, and look forward to catching up face to face pretty soon.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.